Now that we have gone through the 6 pillars of character education, we're going to be reviewing some scenarios and giving you an opportunity to to choose some of the choices that'll be available at the end of after we read each one of these scenarios. And we'll start with the first one, and let me go ahead and read that to you. It is December 23rd. When you went out to feed your show pigs, you noticed that you did not have enough feed to last you through the holidays. You and your father go to the feed store to pick up some more feed. Since your show is not far away, you can no longer feed the medicated feed because of the withdrawal time. But the feed store clerk tells you that they are out of non-medicated feed. He offers to sell you the medicated feed that is at medicated feed at the same price as a non-medicated feed. What should you do? Take the medicated feed. The show doesn't do drug tests anyway. Turn down the offer of medicated feed, thinking that you can find a neighbor who can let you borrow enough feed to last through the holidays. Decline the feed and politely inform the store clerk that it's important to follow the rules about using medicines and drugs. Or D, what the store clerk is suggesting is illegal. Notify your county extension agent and parent about the clerk's suggestions. I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of time to go ahead and review these again, and then we'll go ahead and go over the right answer. The correct answer in this scenario is C. Decline the feed and politely inform the store clerk that it is important to follow the rules about using medicines and drugs. And if you're a little confused about withdrawal times and using medicated and non-medicated feed, don't worry about it. We're gonna be reviewing a lot of information about withdrawal times and the use of medicated feed later on this training.
Okay, the next scenario is number 2. Before you can make a decision about the feed, the store owner comes along. He overheard the conversation and tells you that your neighbor Bob, whose son also has show pigs, just bought a ton of non-medicated feed and might share with you. When you get home, your dad calls Bob, who says, "You're welcome to as much as you need until the feed store gets some more." He says that he and his family are going out of town and tells you where to find the feed. You and your little brother hop on the four-wheeler and go to get the feed. After loading it, you admire the fine quality pigs Bob's son has. While looking at them, you realize that some of the pigs are validated to another exhibitor in the county. You should A. Get your brother and leave. B. Point out to your little brother what you see and tell him that it is wrong and why. C. Tell your dad what you saw and have him call the county extension agent or ag science teacher. D. Call Bob and ask him what the deal is. I'll give you some time to look at these and choose your answer. Okay, the correct answer are B and C. B. Point out to your little brother what you see and tell him that it is wrong and why. C. Tell your dad what you saw and have him call the county extension agent or ag science teacher. You would choose these both answers. One is you want to tell your little brother that he's going to be showing these animals for the rest of his life or through high school, and you need to show him the wrong things as far as to be observant. And also tell a grown-up, tell your dad, and have him talk to your county extension agent and your ag science teacher so they can give you the correct things what you should do.
Okay, in scenario number 3, the fun at Bob's hasn't ended yet. While loading the feed, your little brother knocked over a storage cabinet in the barn. What comes out of the cabinet is a surprise: illegal drugs. There are no animals in Bob's pens that these drugs can be legally given to. What should you do? A. Call Bob and ask him what is going on. B. Tell your dad and ask him to call the county extension agent or ag science teacher. C. Tell all your friends what you saw in Bob's barn and let them know he is cheating and using illegal drugs to make his show pigs better. Or D. Unload the feed back in Bob's barn and leave as soon as possible to try to erase all the evidence that you were even there. I'll go ahead and give you a couple of seconds to go ahead and review those statements again, and then we'll talk about the correct answer. Okay, the correct answer in this scenario is letter B. Tell your dad and ask him to call the county extension agent or ag science teacher.
Scenario 4. Your father recently agreed to be the project leader for your 4-H club. One of his duties is to locate swine projects for the members of the club. He wants to do this as fairly as he can, so he finds a breeder who has enough high-quality pigs for everyone. He schedules a day to pick up the pigs, and you decide to ride with him. When you get there, the breeder shows you a pig he has set aside for you. He knows that you are a good feeder, so he wants you to have the pig that is better than the rest. Looking at your answers there. A. Politely decline the pig. B. Take the pig. You should get the first choice anyway because your dad is the one who went and purchased the pigs for everyone. C. Take the pig. If you don't, someone else will, and you will have to show against a better pig. D. Take the good pig back and draw the pig with the other members. You may get lucky and draw this one anyway. Look at the questions here and pick your best answer. Okay, the correct answer is A and D. Politely decline the pig. Also D. Take the good pig back and draw for the pig with the other members. You may get lucky and draw this one anyway.
Okay, in scenario number 5, it reads, the pig you've raised for the county show is overweight and the show is just 2 days away. A buddy has offered help with some sort of legal practice that will get the weight off the pig in time for the show. If you don't take the help, your pig probably won't qualify. What should you do? Take the help. You have spent a great deal of time with your pig and really want to show. Take the help. The practice is sort of legal. It hasn't been identified as illegal. Besides, others are sure to be cheating, and this practice isn't considered illegal yet. Decline the help and look for an alternative that is sort of more legal. Or the last one, decline the help, try to naturally and legally get the weight off, and hope that your pig can lose the weight for the show. Learn from this mistake and do better with your next swine project. I'll give you a few seconds to go ahead and review these statements. Okay, the correct answer is D. Decline the help, try to naturally and legally get the weight off, and hope that your pig can lose the weight for the show. Learn from this mistake and do better with your next swine project. And those are some of the things that, and I think this is a very good example, you know, from a standpoint of a parent, a county agent, or ag science teacher. Many a times we'll lose a livestock project along the way, and we know that it's hard, but it's a learning experience, you know, having to go through this, you know, having to go through disappointments and stuff. So Like I said, those are perfect examples so that young people can start learning about these things at a young age. So we'll go ahead and go ahead and move on and talk a little bit about food safety. In this slide, it reads, "It's your responsibility to produce safe and wholesome food products." And one of the things that we want to point out is that you as a 4-H or FFA exhibitor, when raising a livestock project, you are the producer. You are the one that's going to be taking this animal to the show. When this animal gets slaughtered, it is your responsibility that this meat is safe and wholesome for people to eat. Let's spend a little bit of time and talk about the food supply continuum. And in this slide, you'll see at the very top, there's a little circle there that reads consumer, and then it moves off to the right, talks about producer, transportation, marketing, harvesting, processing, and retail food service. Like to spend a little bit of time and talk about the consumer end of it. When you go purchase vegetables or meat products at the store, you are the consumer, and as a consumer, you also have a responsibility to make sure that the food that you eat is safe and clean. Common good practice to do is to wash and clean all your vegetables before you eat them. When you go pick up grapes or tomatoes or lettuce and stuff, make sure that you wash them real good before you eat them and put them in salads, things like that. Moving off to the right, from a producer end of it, like I mentioned earlier, when you are producing a livestock project, you are the producer, and it is ultimately your responsibility when this animal gets to the show and then it moves on later through the food chain and gets slaughtered, that if they find any type of residue, whether it's chemical from a medication or from a feed or something, you are going to be held liable. Okay? And to kind of put things in perspective, I go ahead and like to talk a little bit about an example using tomatoes, because I know they've been in the news quite a bit in the last couple of years. And let's say, for example, that you are a farmer and that you are producing the tomato product. These tomatoes are out in the field and they're being irrigated with water from our river here, the Rio Grande. And as many of y'all know, that water is contaminated. It's got a lot of bacteria in it. And when you're out there getting, let's say, some of these tomatoes drop on the ground and they get contaminated through animal waste or the irrigation water that you're using, and then they later move on and they end up in a grocery store somewhere, and somebody goes over and picks them up and eats them, does not wash them, puts them in a salad, and gets sick. Ultimately, you as a producer would be responsible for that because that product is coming from your farm. But on the same token, once these, using the same example, you're producing tomatoes, and you transport them out of your farm, and let's say they go to a distribution point in a major city like Dallas, where they get distributed to H-E-B or Walmart or another major grocery store. And while they're sitting there, let's say they get there on Friday, and then they sit there over the weekend, that they come in contact with some waste from rats or mice that may be there in the area, and then on Monday a truck goes by there and picks them up, and then they end up in a grocery store that later on that morning and that afternoon somebody eats them and gets sick. Well, ultimately, they left your farm, they're clean, nothing wrong with them, but when they end up at that distribution center, that's where they become contaminated. So the person that is then responsible would be the distribution center there. And then we move on down the food supply continuum. What if these tomatoes end up in a restaurant? and let's say one of those individuals that works there in the restaurant goes to the restroom and does not wash their hands, and then comes back and cuts these tomatoes up and contaminates them with human waste, and somebody gets sick. Well, then it's a responsibility of the restaurant, because they became contaminated at that point in time. And as you can see, as these products move through the food supply continuum or the food supply chain, everyone within this food supply chain is responsible for making sure that those food products, whenever they end up in our table, are safe and are safe from any type of microbial or chemical contamination. So it's very important that we all do our part.
Okay, at this time we're going to look at some questions, and I'm going to give you, after I read the question, a few seconds to make your choice, your answer. And we'll start off with number 1. Looking at the food supply, the food chain, which segment is responsible for safety handling of the animal product, beef, pork, or lamb, in their homes? The answer is producer. The producer is the one that makes that selection as far as being responsible. Number 2, which segment is responsible for distributing the product to the restaurant or grocery store? And the answer will be retail food service. Number 3, which segment carries the animal from the farm to the market? That's transportation. Number 4, which segment sells the animal to the packer? And your choice there should be marketing. Number 5, which segment harvests the animal? Your answer should be harvesting. Number 6, which segment processes the carcass into retail cuts? The correct answer will be processing. And number 7, why is it important for all segments to work together? And the answer is food safety. All these are far as contributed to food safety, starting off with the consumer all the way to the retail food service. We need to make sure that when our food moves through this chain, the whole purpose is for food safety.